Hello bookworms, I'm Becca and today I'm coming at you with a book unhaul. Recently I moved to my new apartment. Yes, we are here, finally moved in, obviously because I'm making videos. But as I was putting my books back on my shelf, I realized there were some that I didn't quite want. A few of these might be a little controversial, but just know that it's okay to have different opinions and to want to read different books. And I'm trying to minimize and simplify, and some of these books I just didn't want to look at on my shelf anymore. So, the first one is kind of controversial, but not really in my opinion, but I'm gonna get rid of Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I got this last year because BookTube, but I honestly don't think that I'm going to read it, and I've heard that as the series continues, it gets more and more problematic. So that's honestly not something that I really want to subject myself to either. Next is Chosen by Ted Dekker. I got this at my Friends of the Library book sale and Josh really wanted it, so maybe I'll just be unhauling it over to his shelf. I don't really know what it's about. I didn't really want it, so goodbye. The next one I'm getting rid of is Mars with Venus Rising by Hope Toller Doherty. I got this book at BookCon last year. It seems like it's just going to be a really generic 20-something romance with a Christian element to it. The plot doesn't sound super interesting. The cover's a freaking mess, so away it goes. The next book was really difficult for me to finally come to terms to get rid of it, and it is The Child Thief by Bram. I've had this book since I was in high school. It's pretty beat up. I still love the premise of it, a very dark, macabre retelling of Peter Pan, but I have tried nearly 10 times to read this book and I've never gotten through it. I even got the audiobook of it and I keep falling asleep when I'm listening to it because it takes a really strange turn as the book goes on. So I just decided enough is enough. I need to free up some room on my shelf, and maybe there's someone out there who will be able to appreciate it a little bit more than I can. The next one is The Diary of a Haunting by M. Verano. It doesn't have the dust jacket, but the dust jacket makes the book really cool, which is why I was keeping the book, because the book is awful. It has a really terrible main character, and I don't want to read from this point of view anymore. So I'm not. The next one is one that I just got this past fall, and it is The Third Twin by C.J. Amalolu. And I read it. It was okay. It was not the greatest. And since I really love thrillers, this isn't one that I want to keep on my shelf because I didn't love it. Next is one that I had a lot of hope for and it just did not deliver, and it is Lost and Found by Brooke Davis. The premise of the story is really interesting. It's about a 5-year-old girl whose mother leaves her in a department store, and then she's found by this elderly woman who befriends this elderly man, and together they go to try to find her mother, and it just was not good. Nothing really happened in the plot. The next one is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I have the small little mass market paperback, which I like way more than this big chunky one. So I'm just getting rid of this one because I have another copy of it. The next one I'm getting rid of also doesn't have its dust jacket, but it is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. And I don't think I'm gonna read it. And I've had it on my shelf for quite a long time. So away it goes. The next book, I'm kind of sad about it. Oh, it's peeking up. It was sent to me for the BookTube tour, and it is Dark Horses by Cecily von Ziegler, who is the author of Gossip Girls. This book was so freaking weird. I just can't even get over how freaking weird and messed up it ended up being, and I don't really want it on my shelf because it was just really weird. Next one I'm getting rid of is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, and this is another one. I saw the movie already, and I don't typically watch a movie and then read the book. I've had this book on my shelf for freaking ever, and I really don't think that I'm going to read it. It also has the movie cover, which I despise movie covers, but that's a whole other video. Another one I'm getting rid of is kind of controversial, but not really. It is With Malice by Eileen Cook. I read it this summer. It didn't live up to all of the hype that I was putting on it. It was good, but I didn't love it. I just decided, you know, if I didn't love it, I don't really want to keep it on my shelf. So this one is going away too. Okay, this one's a little controversial, but I think it was time. I'm going to be getting rid of my copy of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I read this when there was so much hype on it, like 2 summers ago or something like that. I liked it. It was okay. And I wanted to continue on with the series mainly because there was so much hype around this trilogy. Oh my god, y'all. There was so much hype around this trilogy. But then I just never did, and I had so many opportunities where I could have picked up the second book, but I just kept putting it down because it wasn't a priority for me to get, I guess, and that should have been clue number 1. But then finally, Peter from Peter Likes Books talked about how this was one of his least favorite books from 2016, and I agreed with him on a lot of the stuff that he said, and I realized that it was time for me to just let this one go, which is kind of a bummer because I love the idea of having all the pictures in the book, and it seemed like a good idea at the time, but now that I'm thinking more about it, I just don't quite care for it that much at all. So it's gotta go. It's gotta go. And the last one. This is one of my most hated books of all time. It is so problematic. It is so bad. It is so bad, you guys. And I don't care what anyone says. Oh my god. But the cover is really nice, so that's why I was keeping it on my shelf. It is This Is Where It Ends by Marika Nightcamp. This follows 4 students as they are going through a school shooting. I really just can't even put into words how terrible this book ended up being and how disappointing it was, because the author supposedly fights for diversity in young adult books, but the way that she wrote her characters was so problematic. I just can't even express it. There are so many other really important and really good books that deal with the topic of a school shooting, and this is not one of them, and that is really disappointing to the point of being dangerous, as Peter stated in his video, because he also didn't like this. I did do a review on this book. It's one of my most watched reviews, so I'll leave that linked in case you want to hear more about why I found this book so problematic. I've been keeping it on my shelf because I really loved the cover of it, but I know I'm not going to read it again. And I lent it to one of my friends, and he gave it back to me, and he couldn't even finish it. So I know I'm not going to lend it out to anyone, because if someone wants to read about a school shooting, I have other books that I can give them. Probably one of the most disappointing books I've ever read. And that is all of the books that I'm going to be not bringing with me into 2017. It's time to simplify. I freed up a lot of space on my shelf for more books that are better than the ones I'm getting rid of. So there's that. Let me know if you want to try to change my mind on any of these books. Have at it down below in the comments. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below to see more bookish videos. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time.